So I said, bees are done. She said bees. So I'm doing bees. I actually started, I know the exact date I started becoming a beekeeper. It was March 17, 2009. I took bees out of a barn. All right? They were my first bees. I also ordered a package of bees, and they didn't come until April. So I started a little ahead of time. That year I had 2 hives. I caught 2 swarms. That fall I had 4 hives. I made 25 pounds of honey. I thought I was something. Wow. Called up my mentor, hey Ed, I made 25 pounds of honey. Don't worry, Bob, you'll make more next year. He was right. Ever since then I probably made, I think the next year I made 500 pounds. And then the next year after that I made 800 pounds. And it just kept going up and up and up. Bees, honeybees are not native to the United States. They came over here with the settlers. They brought them over here because there was things you could get out of a beehive you couldn't get anywhere else, which was wax. They needed it for candles. They needed a sweetener. Honey was cheaper than going and getting sugar, which is way out of their realm, I mean, money-wise. They also used propolis. Propolis is a substance that the bees collect from the new shoots of plants and from the sap of trees, and they coat everything in the hive with it. It's an extension of their immune system. It's very highly antimicrobial, and beekeepers hate it because it's glue. They glue everything together in the hive. They glue all the boxes together. If there's a little crack or there's a little light coming in or a draft, they fill it full of propolis. You can take propolis and you can mix it with denatured alcohol, and you can make a very good wood stain out of it. And supposedly, Stradivarius put it on a violin, so I don't know. Yeah, there's, I think there are 7 things that you can get out of a beehive, and I think I have a list. If I don't, I'll try to do it from memory, and I'm sure I'll forget. I'll have a list. But anyway, there's honey, there's wax, there's propolis, there's royal jelly, there's pollination, there's 2 more things, I can't think of it. But anyway, there's a lot that you can get out of a beehive. Anybody got any questions? Be real loud, because I don't hear it too well.
Is propolis and honey good for people too?
Yes, you can eat propolis. Yep, yep. A lot of people do. One time I remember hearing that they were advertising propolis toothpaste. I don't know. You can't eat it. Yep.
What's the threshold of what the bee needs to sustain itself? You're harvesting all these products off that, right? You're using the products that the bee makes.
Mm-hmm.
How much of those can you, what's the percentage of that you can take away and get the bee sustained?
I have to leave them 80 to 100 pounds of honey so that they can get through the winter. All right? As far as anything else, pollen, nectar, when the bee goes out to the flowers, she gets nectar, and she comes back, and she hands it off to another bee. And then another bee gets it, and then another bee gets it, and then it eventually gets into the cell. It's still nectar. When they get it down to the right moisture content, which is 18% or less, then they'll put a wax cap over it, and they won't eat that until wintertime. That's honey. So when you're eating honey, you're actually eating bees' winter food. All right? They would prefer to eat nectar. All right? Well, along comes winter and there's no flowers, so nectar gets eaten up and they got to eat the honey. Right? Pollen is their protein. Nectar is the carbohydrate. You got to have both to live. That's the way it goes.
Oh, I was just going to ask you whether you give the bees sugar water.
Yes. There are times when I give them sugar water. There are times I'll cook up these lollipops, I call them. It's about the closest you can get to honey without really having honey. And you cook sugar, and you put some apple cider vinegar in it to up the pH level on it. And what I do is I take the sugar lollipops, I put them in a bowl, paper bowl, and I turn them upside down on top of the hive with a shim around it, so that they can get up there and eat it.
Cool.
How much of your time does it actually take up when you have?
A lot. You have no idea how much time it takes. And there's a poster here that tells you what the beekeeper does throughout the year, and
Can't be a hobby.
I try to make beekeeping easy. You can't. You can't.
It can't be a hobby.
It's got to, well, there are people who do it as a living, you know, but they've got people working for them, it's a crew. I don't have anybody who helps me. My wife helps me. Sometimes I come and sell. She's not here today. But, yeah, it's a lot of work. And it's hot work, and it's heavy work. Honey weighs 12 pounds to a gallon. I'd rather lug water around that weighs a little over 8. All right? Speak loud.
So, how many bees are there exactly in that?
In here, I'd say there are 400 or 500. In a typical beehive, there could be 60 to 80,000. In a real strong hive, you could have 100,000 bees. Yes. Yeah, and that's all due to the queen. Honeybees only live 35 or 40 days unless you're a winter bee. And if you're a winter bee, you're born around October, November, and you will live until March, April. And all you're there for is to winter over and get the beehive started for the spring, and then you'll die.
When a bee dies, where does it go? Does it die in the hive? Or
If it dies in the hive, they'll carry it out. They're very, very clean. They will not go to the bathroom in the hive in the wintertime. What they'll do is they'll hold it until there's a day when it's like 40 degrees, and they'll fly out of the hive, and they'll fly around the hive, and they'll do their business and go back. It's called a cleansing flight.
There's a bee hen.
So if I was looking to have bees, where would I start in terms of how many do you recommend for a beginner? And how do I keep them safe from the bear?
How do you get started being a beekeeper? You have to get your equipment, and then you have to buy bees or take them out of a barn like I did. And I would suggest that you join some bee clubs, okay? You can talk to like-minded people, and bears, okay? Bears are... They're always going to be, if they find a beehive, they'll tear it apart. And they're not really after the honey, they're after the baby bees, the protein, that's what they want. But while they're in there, they eat everything. Okay, they're willing to make a mess out of the hive. Electric fence is probably the best deterrent for, you can get them where they're solar operated. I have 2 that are that way. Because there's no way in the world I can get a extension cord out that far.
For beginners, what are your thoughts on the different hives? We're considering the flow hive, if you've heard of that.
I only really do the Langstroth hives, which are the typical boxes stacked up on top of each other. The flow hives, from what I understand, you mean the long hives, right?
Well, it's a hive. It's actually not that long. It's like a box, but it has a little pointed roof, and you just turn the...
Oh, you're talking about the flow frame.
It like
Yeah.
shifts the...
It didn't work for me.
Oh, you tried.
I tried. I tried everything on the teeth. I suppose if you had 1 or 2 hives and you really zeroed in on them,